Are you ready to go racing? Then let's go! The Bubba Burger SportsCar Grand Prix of Long Beach. And they bash again.
Oh, Rito dives in there, loses it.
We talked about the aggressive nature of this 100-minute sprint. We're seeing it early.
There it goes. That has taken out one big contender.
This week has just not been good for this group.
Albuquerque and Joao Barbosa go back-to-back. Meanwhile, in GTLM.
Oh, he turns him!
And Magnussen into the back of Dirk Mueller.
This is what I like about America. I mean, we had a hard start with Joao, but we still came back. I love it. It's just great.
If you didn't believe it was a crazy IMSA race in Long Beach, there was video proof. Nate Ryan has joined us. By the way, our wardrobe, AJ, is all over the map. Nate in a nice coat. Parker's in a T-shirt.
On his pajama shirt.
You and I are in normal clothing. I just want to note, right?
Well, he's wearing pajamas under this. I always do.
My goodness.
It's like the grown-ups in me.
Parker, we had to make fun of your shirt at some point today. Hey, but you have a great theory. We saw some action at Long Beach. I mean, those cars were hammering on each other. And you said it's kind of what?
Well, I thought that I've seen less contact in boxing matches. So we actually kind of went out there and found some video evidence. You see all the contact happening here.
Oh.
But then, wait, here's boxing.
Dancing.
Nothing. Then, whoa. Well, here we are bumping again. It's a Ford GT and a Porsche. No, wait. Now, oh, no. Now we got GT cars hitting DP cars, Corvettes and the Fords, and...
Dance around a little bit.
And, yeah, let's just stare at each other a little bit and not do anything of what you're going to do. So I thought, you know, that was just a full contact brawl in the streets of Long Beach. It was awesome to watch. I watched every bit of racing this past weekend, and that race was the most captivating of any of them because it just, you never knew who was going to win. The drivers were going at it, and by the end, the car that was leading GTLM had his parts flapping in the back, the diffuser. It was just... no holds barred racing. I loved it.
So clearly you spent a lot of time on your couch watching.
I did, yes.
Coming up with this boxing theory. You also had some time to tweet, and I noticed this during the Richmond race Saturday night, Parker. You had this tweet comparing the racing at Richmond to what you had seen earlier in the day at Long Beach with IMSA. I was watching that tweet, or watching the race, and saw that tweet with Chip Ganassi and some other media members who were at the Long Beach circuit watching the Richmond race from afar on Saturday night. And Chip Ganassi referenced it again on his Sunday media availability, where people were asking about the Gen 7 car, and he referenced her tweet and said, there's validity here. Like, the IMSA cars race better right now in some ways than the Cup cars. Like, they're not as prissy, maybe, or fragile. And the
good way to put it.
The word that Chip used was, we've got to stop having the Cup cars being more like a Swiss watch. Like, when the Gen 7 comes out, they've got to be able to bump and bang like the IMSA cars did on Saturday.
And I think that's the intention, and it was just so, you know, visible this past weekend when you go from those cars on the streets of Long Beach bumping into each other and racing so hard, and then you go to a short track, which was known for years in stock cars as, you know, rough and tumble, fender banging, and you just didn't see that. I mean, you get one touch here, he cuts down his left rear tire, he's in the wall. We had one other car where the right rear quarter panel got wrinkled, and suddenly you're going to lose right side force. I mean, we've just gotten to a point where our stock cars are more like prototypes, and those IMSA cars were a great example of a car being more like a stock car, something that comes from the road, and therefore was maybe a little tougher and not as aerodynamically sensitive. So I think this is the intention of the Gen 7. From everything I hear, that's what we're going to move towards, and I think it can't come soon enough because, you know, we obviously have ended up at a point that it's not as cool to think about a stock car race, a short track, and think as a driver, especially, you know, I know if I dent some fenders, that's hindering the performance of my race car. It's just not cool.
I really want to go back to your tweet.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I just want to look at that picture. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was shocked about. Yeah, look at that
What
thing.
is this? Like a ninth grade picture?
That's my prize fighting photo.
I was going to say, I see a boxing motif
Yeah,
here.
I was trying out for the latest boxing tournament, and I had long hair. So that's about a year ago, and I grew my hair out. For
Very
no reason.
mean there.
Yeah. Maybe I should go back to
Very
slicked
mean
back hair.
person. All the Long Beach drama helped tighten up the standings in the DPI class. Just 4 points separate the top teams. Look at the Cadillacs, man. They are up there. And I think, guys, certainly the talk of the paddock has been Felipe Nasr and Pippo Durrani and how strong they've been, AJ. I mean, you know, would you argue those are the class drivers so far this year in IMSA?
No, I completely agree in that Whelen Engineering group. They had so much speed this weekend at Long Beach, and it comes back to execution. And we talked about that in the pre-race show. Long Beach, 1 or 2 pit stops, you got to execute. Tire comes off. At this point, I thought their race is done. Their car was going to be damaged because they're dragging the splitter all the way back to the pits. And at that point, Pippo Durrani got in the car and laid down the fastest race lap by over 4 tenths. I mean, they are dominant right now on speed. but you still have to execute. And that's what we're going to see over the rest of the races here is going to a place like Mid-Ohio where it's tight, track position's key, but they have the speed and the lineups of all the cars are really strong, but I don't know, just those two between Pippo and Felipe Nasr are the strongest of the group right now.
And there's a lot of talk in the paddock. Felipe Nasr kind of wandered over to the IndyCar paddock this weekend.
That's the most interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he's a former Formula One driver and a friend of Marcus Ericsson, spent some time over there. I think if I was an IndyCar team owner, I would be kind of dialing up his number.
What does PT always say about Alexander Rossi inside that Penske DPI? He's
right.
We'll get into that later, but it's maybe a tryout. Maybe Felipe's hoping to get the same thing going. So.
AJ from Mazda, boy, it's been a tough couple of races for the 55 team. And Jonathan Bomarito is a guy you know very well. Just seems like he just can't get anything pointed in the right direction. What's going on there?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pressure on all the drivers there. Mazda Team Yost, they came in, they set an all-time track record at the Rolex 24-hour race, had a mechanical failure. At Sebring, one of the cars had a mechanical failure. Jonathan Bomarito, contending for the win, made a mistake and crashed. And then here at Long Beach, Jonathan crashed in qualifying. He tubbed the car, meaning that they had to go just to a complete brand new...
Crack the tub.
Yeah, tub and just basically start over. He was aggressive here, trying to make up some spots on the first lap of the race, and obviously had an incident there. And I've raced against Jonathan Bomarito. I grew up with him. We were both in the same region in karting. He's a great guy. He's got so much talent, but I've been there before. I've been there when you got guys that come in, and there's a lot of pressure in the team in general to go win a race, and then you have other drivers, and that's what's hard in sports car racing. It's not just, hey, this is my teammate, car versus car. There's another guy in the car, and Harry Tincknell got in that car and set the second fastest race lap after Jonathan got out. So it's one of those things where he's putting a lot of pressure on himself, pushing hard, and on top of that, when you do that, you start making mistake after mistake, and then it gets inside your head, because I had this in 2005. Justin Wilson was my teammate. I knew he had so much experience. He was so fast when he came into our race team. It's like, I got to try harder. I got to try harder. And all of a sudden, a mistake happens. Another mistake happens, then it just gets inside your head where it's like, okay, what's going to happen next? What am I going to do now? And
you can't do anything right.
And for Jonathan Bomarito, believe me, he's got so much talent. He's been a part of the Mazda program for a long, long time. He'll get it together. I could see them going to Mid-Ohio and going win a race.
All right, let's check out GTLM standings. Porsche right now 1-2. Corvette is sitting in third, but I want to focus on the Ganassi cars, and you talked to them a little bit, Nate. They can't catch a break this year, whether it's a caution at Daytona that came out a lap too soon or too late, rather, or running out of fuel at the end of the race at Long Beach, and they just cannot catch a break on the 67 or the 66.
Yeah, I mean, and they were the story going in, not being able to catch a break with Joey Hand being ill, so they had to go get Bourdais, and Bourdais runs like the first 22 laps. He comes out, and then Muller gets in the car, and it looks like, hey, they might actually salvage this weekend. And then, of course, last lap troubles for both him and the other car running out of fuel as well. And yeah, I agree with you, Marty. I mean, it's been a tough season. I mean, really going all the way back to Daytona. That's kind of been the story.
I agree. I mean, this is tough to watch sometimes, and you see this, and the GTLM class is so competitive, so tight,
it really is,
and amongst these manufacturers that you can't give anything up, and you'll get taken advantage of from those other manufacturers bringing multiple cars. So these guys are definitely in a position where they're thinking kind of similar to the Mazda guys of like, what do we have to do to change this around, change the mentality, change the juju a little bit inside that race team to get it moving forward.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, Jordan Taylor had an emergency appendectomy Monday night, but was in the car Friday for practice, raced Saturday, and he had fun on Twitter. Check this out, guys. His doctor in Florida actually said you have a 0% chance of racing this weekend.
That's crazy.
And as he said, this is him exiting the car, which he told me was the most painful part of it. Hold my appendix, please.
That is a tough racer right there.
A tough dude right there. So if you want to vote for Jordan or one of the other three drivers for our Global Motorsports Star of the Week, head to our Motorsports page on NBC Twitter.